Hi, this is Scott Langford. Welcome back to the Stanford Gen YouTube channel. Today I'm here with a longtime friend and colleague, Jennifer Saito. Jennifer's a professor of philosophy, mathematics, and humanities at Los Medanos Community College, which is located here in the Bay Area in Pittsburgh, California. One of her roles is to direct their honors program there. And in fact, she's one of the principal organizers of the Bay Honors Consortium, which is a group of more than a dozen community colleges here in Northern California that work together to present an honors research symposium that involves hundreds of students. And we travel annually to Stanford or Berkeley campus in alternate years. So welcome to the Global Educators Network YouTube channel, Jennifer Saito.
Thank you, Scott. It's an honor to be here.
Well, we've known each other for a long time, but I admit, as I was prepping for this interview, I don't know all about how you got into community college teaching. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So unlike a lot of teachers who say, oh, I grew up my whole life wanting to be a teacher, I was not that person. I grew up wanting to be a famous actress. And so I went to college and I was studying theater. And then somehow I ended up majoring in theoretical mathematics. That's a whole other story. I then ended up going to graduate school. I was in a PhD program in theoretical mathematics at Berkeley and realized that's not what I wanted to do. And so I decided to stop once I got my master's degree, and I had no idea how I was going to make a living. So I went to the Career Center. Imagine that. I got fabulous advice at the Career Center. The counselor I worked with asked me, well, what do you see yourself doing? And because of my background in theater, I thought, well, I think I would like to merge theater and education. So I told her, I think I'd like to merge my interest in education and math. Maybe I'd end up working for Sesame Street or something like this. Mm-hmm. And this wonderful career counselor said, well, let's look at some jobs in math education. So we pulled up all these jobs and they all looked great. And she said, what do you notice they all have in common? And I said, well, they all want you to have teaching experience. And she said, yes. So I think your first goal should be get some teaching experience apart from the summer camp at the French school. Did you know you could teach community college with a master's degree? And I said, I had no idea. And so she helped me figure out how to locate all the community colleges in the Bay Area. We're very lucky to have so many. And I literally just started cold calling. I just started sending emails to deans and department chairs. And I ended up getting a part-time gig at 3 colleges, Diablo Valley, Ohlone, and Los Medanos. And that's how I got my foot in the door. And then, of course, I realized what an amazing resource the California Community College is and how much I loved teaching. And 30 years later, here I am.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we both recognize in each other is that it was love at first sight with community colleges. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the Bay Honors Consortium and your role in it? And then once we understand how that works, maybe we can find out more about the Honors Research Symposium, the annual symposium coming up this year, again in May.
That's right, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So just like a lot of people don't know that community colleges have study abroad programs, a lot of people don't know that community colleges also have honors programs. There are, like you said, 115 community colleges. I would wager at least half, if not more, also have honors programs. These are programs for highly motivated students who have big dreams. They want to transfer to Stanford. They want to transfer to Berkeley or UCLA, and they really want both the rigorous academic training that will prepare them to succeed when they get there, and also they know it's very competitive to be admitted to those schools, and so they're looking for that competitive edge. So honors programs in the California community colleges do both of those things. They prepare students, and they give them the competitive edge to get where they eventually want to go.
And I'll add, I'm going to jump in here because I'll add for listeners to the channel that unlike these notoriously stereotypical tracking and AP programs, which are frequently more or less de facto segregated by
Mhm.
social class and race,
Mhm.
our programs are vibrantly and proudly diverse,
Yes.
and deeply so. So that's one of the reasons that I've worked hard, and you have also, I know, to support honors programs in community colleges, because I think it unplugs that legacy in American education in an extraordinarily effective way, and empowers students of color, empowers women, empowers marginalized students of all varieties, and gives them those privileges that are all too often reserved for those of us born with privilege,
Right.
right?
You may not know this, but when I started my program, I was the founder of the program at my college 25 years ago.
Mm.
I did a lot of research, and there was a woman named Susan Wilbur who used to work in the University of California Office of the President.
Mm.
She wrote her EDD thesis on the history of California Community College honors programs.
Oh, no, I didn't know anything. This is great
Fascinating.
information. Wow.
And what she unveiled in her thesis was that, in fact, California Community College honors programs were started as a seed project by UCLA.
Exactly.
That's right. UCLA realized, just like you were saying, gosh, so many of our students are coming from privilege. Where are the first gen students? Where are the students of color?
That's right.
Where are the reentry students?
That's right.
And they realize where they are is the California community colleges.
Mm-hmm.
So they went out into community colleges starting in Southern California, and they helped faculty start honors programs. And the movement spread and eventually found its way to Northern California. So when I started my program, found out about this professional organization known as the Bay Honors Consortium,
Mm.
which I joined. And it was that group that began to realize, there's all these resources for honors programs and honors students in Southern California, partly because they'd started there,
Mm-hmm.
but there really wasn't that much in Northern California. Um,
Ah.
in particular, Southern California had a wonderful annual research conference for community college students that at that time was being hosted at UC Irvine every year. Um, and one of your colleagues, Mary Lou Heslett,
Who
who
I just
was,
had dinner with the other night. By the
oh,
way, he
wonderful,
says hi. So.
wonderful. Yeah, so Mary Lou was in the Bay Honors Consortium, the BHC, as we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, hey, guys, we need to have a conference like that for Northern California students. And I just happen to know the director of admissions at Stanford, my alma mater. Mary Lou went to Stanford, Richard Shaw. I'm going to talk to him and see if he would sponsor it. And Mary Lou, so she's a force of nature.
Oh, yes.
And we all said, okay, that's a great idea. And then next we'd like to land, a person on the moon. And at our very next meeting, Mary Lou said, hey, I talked to Rick and he said yes. This was 2006 or 7, probably 2006, because the first symposium was in 2008.
Right.
And so then we had to plan a conference, and none of us had ever done that before.
All right. Well, tell me more about planning the conferences and how they grew. So, because it's a huge undertaking.
It
Huge.
is. So we just received proposals from students who would like to present at Stanford this year. We got 241 of them from 35 colleges statewide. Now, many
Oof.
Southern California colleges fly up north to come to our conference.
Right.
They love to go to the gorgeous Stanford campus or the beautiful Berkeley campus. And for them, it's their opportunity to come north and visit the schools and participate in the event.
Great idea. Great idea.
So what we did is we very quickly sent a group down to the Irvine conference. That conference is hosted by the Honors Transfer Council of California.
Okay.
That's kind of the umbrella professional organization for community college honors programs in the state. So we sent a team down there, and we just started to realize what we needed to do. Like, we didn't even know what we didn't know, right? We said, okay, well, We have to figure out how students can submit information. And then we have to figure out what they're going to submit. And then we have to decide how we're going to make decisions about who gets admitted and who isn't admitted. Oh, I guess we need a website. Oh, I guess we need a poster. Oh, I guess we need to think about how the day will be structured.
Mm,
People who plan conferences, this is their bread and butter. But
right.
what you basically had was about 8, teachers sitting around in a room figuring out how to do this. And it was beautiful. Um, I think most of the people in that original group would tell you that this was not only one of the best things we've ever done professionally, but also the biggest growth experience. Um, I learned how to build websites. I learned how to make posters. I
Mm,
learned how to register 500 people online and accept payments from them. Like,
mm.
not anything I ever got in my training as a mathematician at Berkeley.
Yeah, and give us a few numbers too. What are we up to in terms of participant numbers? I mean, you mentioned well, over 200 submissions from students across Northern California and now Southern California also,
Mhm.
since it's opened up to the whole state. How many students typically will show up at the Berkeley campus, the beautiful Berkeley campus, or the Stanford campus for a symposium?
We will in a typical year pre-pandemic, we would get 400-ish people.
Eesh, yeah.
And then, of course, often because this is community college, and because so many of our students are first generation, of course, this is a big deal, not just for the student, but for their family. Um, and
Really.
so often students not only bring their teachers and their fellow students, but their parents show up and their abuelas and their siblings.
That's right.
So we will sometimes get as many as 500 people who traipse through our doors at some point. Some of them stay for the whole day and register. Others of them just say, no, I'm just going to want to see my daughter's presentation.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because again, it underlines the deep diversity of the honors programs in California and the community colleges. I mean, right? The families that show up are typically families of previously marginalized students who are amazed that their sons and daughters are getting these kinds of opportunities. And so the whole familia comes to the event. Right. And it's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's a very transformative conference for the students, but also for families to begin to understand and imagine my student could be going to a University of California campus. My student could be going to a private university like Stanford. And that is so beautiful, especially now in these times post the recent extremely unfortunate
Mhm.
Supreme Court decision banning the use of affirmative action for our universities and colleges. They are turning ever more to programs like our honors programs for exactly the same reasons that UCLA came knocking on our door these many years before.
You're
Now they're
right.
knocking even harder
Mhm.
because this is one of the ways to preserve the diversity of student bodies in the university systems.
Absolutely. Right.
It's grown into a very large project. You've been
Yes.
involved for so long. I will flatter myself because you flattered me by inviting me to be the keynote speaker so there's always a keynote speaker.
Right.
I had the intense honor. That was one of the highlights of my
Oh,
academic career for me. Honestly, that was such a beautiful experience for me. I loved doing that. I truly did. But there are speakers, conference style presentations all day long. I frequently say with sincerity that the student presentations are often quite a bit better than the professional conference presentations I see when I go to my own professional conferences at
right.
the faculty level. The students go through a whole rigorous process to prepare to present. The selections of the student presenters initially is highly rigorous, as you
Yes.
know. So the quality of the presentations is often stunning, honestly, stunning and
Right.
humbling. To some degree even humbling. So it's something to be proud of that way too. And I'm partly just prompting you in case you want to jump in with further nuts and bolts of how the conference works.
Sure. So, first of all, I want to agree with what you said that I really see this as a professional development opportunity for the students. Right?
Yes.
It's not just, oh, I'm going to brag about this on my resume. Because you're right. Again, a lot of our students have never spoken to a room of mostly strangers about
Yeah.
their intellectual property. Like the whole idea that they have expertise in something that
Yes.
other people want to know about is very
Yes.
empowering.
And they don't even know what a conference is,
No,
but they may not come from backgrounds where one goes to a conference. Like
right.
I tell students all the time, half of this experience is learning how to conference,
That's right.
which is
And
essential to your professional survival, right?
that's right.
In any field, not just in
Right.
academics, in any field. So that's half of the learning experience is what is a conference? What is a
Right.
conference presentation? How does this work?
Right. We coach them on things like how do you make effective PowerPoint slides? How do you handle a Q&A session? Um,
Yes.
how do you dress professionally, right? And
Yes.
present yourself in a particular way. All of these things. So basically, most of us students are doing research in their honors classes, in their honors contract projects. Some of them are doing it independently, but the process starts by a student submitting an abstract. And again, we professionals who submit things for conferences, we're used to this process,
Yeah.
but they're not. So
They
you,
don't know the word abstract, and
that's right.
why would they, to be honest,
Right.
right?
So we teach them how to frame what they have done, the question they're trying to answer, how you use limited words to convey what you're doing and the importance of what you're doing. Then we have a whole committee so that you can imagine 241 proposals. The students submit a 150-word abstract, a 50-word methodology, and 5 references that inform their project. And that's what the committee has to make their decisions on.
Yeah.
They are read blind so that no biases about, oh, I like this college or I don't like this college or, oh, I know this student is involved.
Mhm.
And it's really about the quality of the research. This year we had 241. We anticipate having room for about 100 presenters.
Okay.
So it's pretty rigorous.
Yeah, it's
Then
competitive.
once those students are invited to present, then there's a 2.5 month long process where all the different faculty mentors and honors directors and coordinators are coaching the students so they can give a terrific presentation in May.
It is a joyous gathering. There are awards for the best
Mhm.
presentations, and you always manage to provide some form of fabulous entertainment. Often it's an a cappella group from the campus, but you've you can remind me. There's been quite a few
Oh,
variations on the entertainment theme, as I recall.
we've had taiko drummers. We always try to get
Taiko drummers, that's
a
right.
student performing group from the host university. So we've had Bhangra dancers. We had once a some sort of a ballet folklorico group.
Right.
This year, we have a small group from the Stanford Jazz Ensembles,
Okay.
which is going
Well,
to be
and the
really
Gen
exciting.
channel is proud to note, the Gen channel, which emphasizes internationalizing the curriculum, is proud to note that your entertainment choices are also forward and internationalizing as well. Thank you for joining us today
Of
on the
course.
Stanford Gen YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the 4th of May at the symposium for sure. All
That's
right.
right. I'll see you there.
Okay, great.